Hello, everyone. I welcome you to another episode of Journey of Self. As I had mentioned earlier, in these given series, I shall share with you and I bring to you experiences from my own corporate, my own coaching world, so that you can learn some pearls of wisdoms from it, or perhaps reach out to me for questions if you have any, or maybe take the lessons learned that I had learned with help of my coach through me. So let's get started. The topic that I have chosen today is about appeasing people. Now, this one, I come to you with a story, and this is from my early years at job. And with this experience that I'm about to share with you, I may want to also let you know that this is something very common. It's not that you go to coaching for it, but this is an attitude we usually develop when we have low self confidence and lacking in belief in our own potential. So, let me share the story that I have for you from my early years. When I was new in corporate and working in a department, we were plenty of people. So, some were more senior to us, some were not very senior. And just like any other colleague, we do get to know people even before we meet them in person. So when I join in, I was told about the who's and who's good in what. So there was one particular colleague of mine who was very well known for his MS Excel, that's a spreadsheet expertise. And he was appreciated and praised all the time for it. So being new, I was not very well versed with MS Excel, and that was a tool that I had to use quite often in my work. So there were times whenever I used to, even though we did had a, I mean, you have in MS Excel a search option, a help option, but it's always good, when you reach out to a fellow human and seek help. So I did the same. Since I knew my colleague and I also knew he's so good in it, every time when I used to get a little stuck, or I would say where I would need advanced features of MS Excel, which I often struggled with, I thought maybe I can just reach out to him for help, and I did that. But having barely met him several few times, when I reached out to him, his response was completely opposite. All I sought was help, but he curtly responded, stating that he does not believe in helping people. These were exactly the words he used, and even though I had a different image of him, not just as an expert, I also assumed that people who are expert are equally good in helping others. And that was one of the first lessons I learned in corporate. So I was a little taken aback when he curtly responded back that he does not believe in helping people and also that he has no time to help me in particular. In my sense of shock, I stood there and then I moved away. Then after few months, actually, not days, we just learned that he has uh, choose to move away from the organization to another organization, and it was a farewell party that was given for him. So we all gathered, and there was some sort of a ritual where most of the colleagues were asked to share their views and feedback about him. So I was also maybe perhaps the way I stood, or I don't know, even though I was junior, but I was told to speak some few good words about him, and I went on explaining all the good he did. It was a complete faked, cooked up story. Despite that, I never had any good experiences with him. But I did that because I was put on the spot, and as I again assumed that you should always speak the good. You can't speak your mind. Obviously, you won't criticize, but there's a limit to also that you cook up fake stories. But I did that. And that's exactly what I want to share with you, that we end up becoming people pleaser when we ourselves do not believe in our own potential and in having confidence. So this kind of an attitude actually stayed with me for a long time. It was through the help of my coach where I really learned how can I really avoid being a people pleaser? And the first thing that I learned here while I really cultivated this habit is that it's not about being arrogant, but it's about being more self aware. And when we are not really aware of our own inner strengths, our self, our weak points, is when we tend to get into driven by situations and people, and we end up pretending more or appeasing people rather than being true to our real self. Another great point, but that I had learned recently also was about being aware of our values. Now, in simple terms, values can have a lot of definitions, but I want to keep it very simple. Things that matter to you the most. So, if I had in my early young years very well versed with what really matters to me, it not only will help me, would have had helped me take better decisions, but at the same time being very true to the life that I want to live because it's completely in sync with my values. What I was doing, getting into that pretense, that fakeness, that uh, the the show off, that trying to please people and seeking approval wouldn't have been there, because even though when it was there and I did all of what I did, it it really somewhere deep inside me, uh, I had a lot of issues with my own self, and I used to really feel not so very good about the way I was behaving or going about. So friends, the most important lesson I would say I've learned in this entire, not just from this experience in fact, but from my coach, was that be aware of your values. I have a separate video on this in my on the channel which you're viewing right now. It is under the playlist of Learn with Your Coach. So you can go there, and if in case you have still not figured out what your values are, or you have never knew how to find them out, you can view that, and trust me friends, it will help you a big deal to understand what really matters to you, because the day you start operating from your values, when you know what's important to you, and also remember our values keep changing. It's not that they change every day, but they change over a period of time, and being in touch with them, being aware of it, understanding the gaps, can help you in different spheres of life. Well, that's it for today. I hope the experience that I'd shared with you, you may have also at some point in time of your life connected with people uh, in a manner which was not really honest. It could have been a fake uh, or a pretense, but that's okay. Maybe the lessons you also need to learn, or you may have had already learned, could be very similar to what I did. In case you have, if you ever feel you need help in cultivating a persona or better version of oneself, think of exploring coaching, because the way I had really refined my personal development with the help of a coach, I think anyone can do it. So if I can, so can you. So I hope you enjoyed this, me sharing this experience with you. And do let me know if there is any particular topic that you want me to speak on. I may come up with one. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a viewer. If you have any further feedback, comments, or any specific thing that you may want to share, feel free to write back. Here are the coordinates where you could connect with me. Thank you, friends. Thank you so much.